barbed wire, shit overflowing out of toilets, spreading all over the cages, mosquitoes swarming and biting the hell out of the prisoners. Yet we're told this is up to code. This is up to standard. I wouldn't put my worst enemy in this ICE Gestapo prison torture camp. It's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Major news on Trump's torturous Gestapo ICE prison known as Alligator Alcatraz, as major lawsuits have been filed, one by the actual prisoners being held there against their will with no due process and no access to attorneys. And Native Americans have joined a separate lawsuit to shut this down, this albatross, this torturous prison camp that is trampling their sacred land. Let me start with the lawsuit that is being filed on behalf of the actual detainees. And might I add, while all this is going on, Status Coup, our Ashley Bishop, just exclusively broke the other day. Shocker, they're already having to remove and relocate prisoners because they built a makeshift tent prison in the middle of the hurricane bullseye. And because of thunderstorms and flooding, they're already having to move prisoners to where we don't know yet because there's no transparency. But Ashley found out, and we broke on our Substack that prisoners were removed and relocated because of the storms and flooding. Okay, let me start with the first lawsuit. This is the ACLU as well as immigration rights groups that are suing on behalf of prisoners in the camp. Groups sue Trump administration over lack of access to counsel for people held at Florida's notorious Everglades Immigration Detention Center. The case is brought by detainees held at the facility on behalf of a class and legal service providers and law firms with clients held at the site, including Florida Keys Immigration, Sanctuary of the South, U.S. Immigration Law Council, Victoria Slatton of Sanabria and Associates, Law Office of Catherine Perez. They're represented by the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU of Florida, and Americans for Immigrants Justice. They challenge the government's restriction of access to counsel and their inability to file legal documents needed for detainees released from custody. I think it's important to actually read some of the lawsuit to you because there is new information that we did not know about within this lawsuit. Again, this is being filed yesterday on behalf of the ICE prisoners, hundreds of whom, to be clear, have no criminal charges against them, and some who have charges against them for things like traffic violations. The class action lawsuit challenges the government's attempts to prevent people detained in civil immigration custody at Alligator Alcatraz from communicating with legal counsel and from filing motions with the immigration court that could result in their release from the detention. Defendants in this case have blocked detainees held at the facility from access to legal counsel. No protocol exists at this facility for providing standard means of confidential attorney-client communication, such as in-person attorney visitation and phone or video calls that are available at any other detention facility, jail, or prison. The only way that detained people can communicate with their outside world is via infrequent access to collect payphone calls that are monitored and recorded and last approximately 5 minutes. I want to play this clip. We interviewed this immigration rights attorney who drove several hours down to visit her client in Alligator Alcatraz, and not only was blocked entry, was given an email to reach out to set up an appointment with her client, an email that bounced back. Let's play that.
So we drive all the way here. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, this is a 6, yeah.
Legal at Privacy 6. It's an interesting email address.
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't you do it? Do you have your phone with you to be able to shoot an email?
Yeah, I can send the email now, but you know how it is. She was not ICE. She works for the state of Florida determining fires.
So that's what's going on here. They are blocking lawyers from entering to talk to their clients. They're giving emails that bounce back. And it is basically a makeshift circus-like process to get a hold of your client, also known as due process. Let me continue reading from the actual lawsuit. I'll put the document link in the description. In the absence of any publicly available information or protocols regarding legal access at the facility, attorneys have gone to significant lengths to contact their retained and prospective clients to no avail. Attorneys have attempted to confirm the location of clients reported to be detained at Alligator Alcatraz via ICE's online detainee locator, which has produced either no result or an instruction to call the Chrome North ICE Processing Center, which is an hour away. Staff at Chrome have stated they have no information as to how attorneys can communicate with clients at Alligator Alcatraz. So, when you're calling the health insurance company, or you're calling, some company that, gives you a service, and you are said, or the bank, I got to send you to this department. You call that department. We actually can't help you. Let me give you this number. They give you another number. Then you're on hold for a half hour. Before you know it, you've been sent to 4 different departments and are on hold for 2 hours. And you finally get someone who tells you, actually, you have to do this. That would be preferred to this absurd process that is essentially a Byzantine bureaucratic maze to nowhere, because obviously when they made up and built this in 8 days, they didn't actually create a process for lawyers to contact, to stay in touch with, to defend their clients, or for the actual prisoners, the clients, to get in contact, to communicate with their attorneys. So there is zero due process here, both for the clients and the lawyers trying to defend them. Attorneys have also attempted to locate a facility phone number, email address, or any instruction to arrange contact with clients held at the facility with little to show for their efforts. One attorney contacted ICE's Miami field office only to be put on hold for approximately 1 hour before being disconnected. An email address provided by the Florida Division of Emergency Management, legal@privacy6.com, reported to be used for arranging attorney-client communications at the facility, has resulted in bounce-back messages, which happened to the attorney that we just showed you the clip of her being blocked entry and then being given an email that did not work. Attorneys have taken long road trips to the facility to try and meet with their clients in person, a universal practice at every other immigration detention facility in the United States, only to be greeted at an armed checkpoint near the facility and barred from entry. Attorneys have waited for several hours in their cars at the checkpoint while their requests to speak with clients are communicated to the facility, only to be turned away. Officers have then either provided a faulty email address to arrange a legal call or provided a 2-page legal counsel visitation request form. The form also instructs attorneys to attach any documents they plan to show or to discuss with clients for prior review and approval by the facility. I want to play a clip. Ashley, our reporter, interviewed one of these attorneys yesterday, the attorney that was blocked on that clip we played from entering, who was given a email that didn't work. I want to play this clip so you could see from her words, and this is an attorney who has been an immigration rights attorney. She's been an attorney for over 20 years. You could see this absurd, inhumane process that is basically kidnapped these undocumented immigrants and given them pretty much no legal support or due process at all. Let me play this clip.
In this particular situation, there is no phone number to contact. We're trying to reach out to our immigration community. There's a lot of politicians involved. Hey, how can we set this up to go and call them, or what's the process? And we're not receiving any type of feedback, or there's nobody to get into to get the information. And it was at that point where it's like, okay, let's go now. Let's see if we can actually have access and be able to go and visit him in person.
Literally, they're spending half their time trying to contact them, get in touch with them on the phone, a Zoom meeting, things that normally lawyers would be able to do with clients that are in a prison. So now they have to spend hours driving there only to be turned away. Let me play the the rest of this here.
And then as I approached the security officers there, I identified my bar card and my driver's license, which is typical practice to identify as an attorney to visit a detainee. And that's when I was really advised that no attorneys are allowed to see the facility right now. There's no access. There's no access to attorney visits. There's not a process in place. However, earlier that day, just a few hours earlier, they received an email address, and that's when one of the officers provided in a crumbled paper a handwritten note of the email address, and I was asked to take it down and then even to give it a test to make sure that it worked.
A test to make sure that it worked. Watch that whole interview Ashley did with that immigration rights attorney who was denied entry after driving for hours to this Gestapo prison and only got to talk to her client after running through a maze for a few minutes. And she constantly was interrupted, according to her, by that machine, that messaging machine over the prison phone. You know, this is a collect call. You only have X amount of time left, blah, 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 blah. So who knows what she was able even to glean in terms of information from her client. I want to get to more details of the actual prisoners being held here, because there is a lot of alarming and new information provided in this lawsuit. Let me read about this particular prisoner, you know, in the legal sense, a plaintiff. Plaintiff ER is a non-citizen currently detained at Alligator Alcatraz. He's a Cuban national who has lived in the U.S. for the past 10 years. He's married to and lives with a U.S. citizen wife and 5-year-old U.S. citizen daughter. He's represented by plaintiff law offices of Catherine Perez in his immigration matters. He's working with his immigration attorney to attempt to appeal a denial of an adjustment of citizenship under the Cuban Adjustment Act. He does not have a history of any criminal convictions and has an old traffic violation for driving without a license. On June 27th, ER was stopped by police while driving on I-75 near Fort Myers. Police did not offer any reason for the traffic stop, and he did not receive a citation after showing his valid driver's license. The law enforcement officer nonetheless arrested him and transferred him to ICE custody, i.e., he was brown. That's me reading, that's not in the lawsuit. He first spent one night in a jail and then was moved to Alligator Alcatraz within 24 hours of a traffic stop. ER's family and his attorney, Ms. Perez, were unable to locate or reach him for 5 days after his arrest. I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you're on the right. I don't care if you are politically agnostic. Can you imagine the terror of your loved one, your spouse, your husband, wife, father, brother, just disappearing? And you don't know where they are? For all you know, they're dead. This is not making America great. This is terrorizing people for no reason other than, giving right-wing podcasters and old white bigots, something to giggle about. It's ridiculous. On July 2nd, ER was permitted a 5-minute phone call to his wife on a monitored non-confidential line to let her know that he was at Alligator Alcatraz. Since that initial phone call with his wife, ER has had a few very short non-confidential calls with his wife and attorney. He reports that Alligator Alcatraz facility does not post any information about how to reach an attorney, schedule a legal call, or contact ICE. Neither ER nor his attorney have been informed of who his deportation officer is. No ICE official has contacted him since his incarceration at Alligator Alcatraz. ER also reports overcrowded, unsanitary, and harsh conditions of confinement on his brief calls. He is locked in a cage with 32 other men that is within a plastic tent that has no cafeteria, day room, or private areas within it. The men are in bunk beds and share 3 toilets, with the toileting area visible from the waist up. ER reports that this group of men also share 3 phones, and each person is limited to 4 to 5 minutes for a call and must wait in line to call back. Due to the limited number of phones and short time periods for calls, it is extremely difficult to speak to family members, and any calls with attorneys are non-confidential and recorded. Other people waiting to use the phone can clearly hear any conversations taking place. He reported that rainstorms have flooded the cages. Let me repeat, flooded the cages, which then makes sense why, as Ashley exclusively reported for us. Hint, hint, sign up as a Status Coup member for as low as $5 a month. We would like to go back to Alligator Alcatraz. We would like to stay on this and continue to break news on this, but it requires funding. These trips are expensive. Investigative reporting is expensive. To send Ashley and our cameraman back there, it would, for even a week, it would cost us thousands of dollars. So $5 a month, statuscoup.com/join. And that's why, as Ashley broke, these people were relocated, because this facility cannot withstand even minor storms, much less a tropical storm or, God forbid, a hurricane. ER reported the rainstorms have flooded the cages and have limited detainees' ability to go outside. Due to rain and the facility's location, mosquitoes are a constant problem inside the tent facility, making rest difficult. There's no predictable or posted meal schedules, and on some days, the men only receive 1 or 2 boxed meals that contain a sandwich and bag of chips. ER's attorneys has made multiple diligent efforts since his detention to have confidential attorney call or meeting with him. ER wishes to be a named plaintiff in this lawsuit to ensure confidential private attorney communication for himself and other prisoners. I want to read more about the horrendous, inhumane conditions at this ICE Gestapo camp. This from the same lawsuit. Immigrants detained at Alligator Alcatraz are held in tents made of white sheeting with 8 cages in each tent. Cages. Each cage is approximately 300 square feet, surrounded by chain link fencing and barbed wire, and is shared by 32 people. Each cage has 3 open-air toilets mounted side by side, visible to all. The only running water available comes from a spigot attached to the toilets. These toilets frequently do not flush, leaving them to overflow with human waste, i.e. shit, produced by dozens of people in a short period. During storms, the tents flood, leaving floors in the tents completely soaked. The facility frequently experiences power outages, leaving the tents with no light or ventilation. Detainees must endure extremely hot temperatures during the day and cold temperatures at night. Detainees can go for days without access to basic hygiene items such as toothbrushes and toothpaste, and water shortages limit opportunities to bathe. The tents are overrun by mosquitoes and other large insects, subjecting people to frequent and painful insect bites. Lights are turned on at all times except during power outages, leaving detainees disoriented and unable to sleep. Food portions are extremely small, sometimes full of maggots, and detainees suffer from frequent hunger. Officers have confiscated religious materials from detainees, including Bibles. Over 400 security personnel, including members of the military and Florida National Guard, stand guard at the facility. The facility has failed to provide necessary prescription medicine to detainees, leaving their health to deteriorate. Several detainees have had medical emergencies requiring emergency transport to the hospital, including plaintiff Mr. Borrego, who required emergency surgery after bleeding profusely. Barbed wire, shit overflowing out of toilets, spreading all over the cages flooding, which, by the way, if you have flooding in this area, you know what that creates? Mold. Mosquitoes swarming and biting the hell out of the prisoners. Yet we're told this is up to code. This is up to standard. I wouldn't put my worst enemy in this ICE Gestapo prison torture camp. Would you? And I don't want to hear it, MAGA. Well, they shouldn't have broken the law. Okay, then let's put the bankers that broke the law and tanked the global economy in there. Let's put the fossil fuel executives who poison our water, air, and soil. Let's put the big pharma executives like the Sackler family who killed hundreds of thousands of people with OxyContin in there. Big tech executives who sell your private information, get teenagers hooked on their algorithms who then commit suicide. How about the military industrial complex and the politicians who lie us into war and kill hundreds of thousands of people? Or is it just the brown people illegally entering the country, which is a misdemeanor, by the way? This is heinous. Heinous. I don't really care what your politics are. This has no place in America. And by the way, it's a giant boondoggle for the contractors getting these fat contracts, including one contractor, Critical Response Strategy, that got a $78 million contract, $78 million contract to run this hellhole. Real quick, I want to read just some of the tribe's lawsuit. This is the lawsuit being filed by the Miccosukee tribe against this facility. They're joining Friends of the Everglades lawsuit that was filed a couple weeks ago. The tribe's interest in Big Cypress Preserve, the area now known as the Preserve, is a core piece of the tribe's homeland. Today, all of the tribe's active ceremonial sites and a significant majority of the tribe's traditional villages are located within the Preserve. Indeed, the tribe played a significant role in the creation of the preserve as part of the sustained campaign to prevent the further development of the TNT site. That was the airport that was going to be built a couple decades ago. As a result of this campaign, Congress passed the Big Cypress Enabling Act, which created the preserve and specifically recognized the tribe's rights to use and occupy the land therein. The act provides members of the Miccosukee tribe of Indians of Florida shall be permitted to continue their usual and customary use and occupancy of federal or federally required lands and waters within the preserve, and the addition, including hunting, fishing, and trapping on a subsistence basis and traditional tribal ceremonies. This was built basically on top of the preserve, and it is very, very, very threatening to the Everglades, the environment, and infringing and stomping on the tribe's rights and their sacred lands, including where their ancestors are buried. What else is new in America? I give you Standing Rock and every other major environmental project, big oil, mining, fracking, typically going in on indigenous land or right on the neighborhoods, in the neighborhoods of Black and brown communities. We will stay on this lawsuit. We'll try to interview the lawyers representing both the prisoners and the Native American tribes. And we want to go back. We want to stay on this, but we need your support to do it. Please support us for as low as $5 a month. That's 16 cents a day. StatusCoup.com/join.